Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome all to today's reading from CC Chaitanya Charitamrita. We will begin chapter 15 today, the Lord's Paugaṇḍa-līlā. Paugaṇḍa stands for the age when the kids are 7. This is called Paugaṇḍa. And let us begin. Mukham karoti vachalam pankum langayate girim yat kripa tamam vande Shri Gurum Din Tarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. A synopsis of the 15th chapter is as follows. The Lord took lessons in grammar from Gaṇḍa-dās Pandit and became very expert in commenting upon grammar. He forbade his mother to take grains on the Ekadashi day. He narrated a story that Vishwarup, after accepting the sannyas order, invited him in a dream to accept sannyas also, but the Lord refused and was therefore sent back home. When Jagannath Mishra passed away, the Lord married the daughter of Vallabhacharya, whose name was Lakshmi. All these events are summarized in this chapter. It's a short chapter, only 34 verses. So let's begin with verse number 1. Kumanaha sumanastvam yati yasya pada bajayo sumano arpana matrena tam chaitanya prabhum bhaje. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, because simply by offering a flower at his lotus feet, even the most ardent materialist becomes a devotee. Verse number 2. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda, Jai Dvaita Chandra, Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Verse number 3. Paugaṇḍa-līlā Sudra Kariye Ganana Paugaṇḍa Vayase Prabhura Mukhya Adhyan. So Paugaṇḍa is actually, it's written here in the word-to-word meaning, in the synonyms, that Paugaṇḍa is of the age from 5 years to 10 years. Lila of the pastime, Sutra, synopsis, Kariye, I do, Ganana, enumerate, Paugaṇḍa Vayase, in the age between 5 and 10, Prabhura of the Lord, Mukhya chief, Adhyana is studying. Let me now enumerate the activities of the Lord between the ages of 5 and 10. His chief occupation during this period was to engage himself in study. Verse number 4. Paugaṇḍa-līlā Chaitanya Krishnayati Suvistrita Vidyarambha Mukha Pani Grahananta Manohara. The pastimes of the Lord during this Paugaṇḍa age were very extensive. His education was his chief occupation, and after that his very beautiful marriage took place. So now we are on verse number 5. Gaṇḍa-dās Pandita Sthane Padena Vyakaran Shravana Matre Kanthe Kaila Sutra Vritti Kana. Vyakaran is grammar, as we know. In Hindi also it means grammar, in Sanskrit and even in Bengali as well. When the Lord was studying grammar at the place of Gaṇḍa-dās Pandit, he would immediately learn grammatical rules and definitions by heart simply by hearing them once. Purport: Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that the Lord was given lessons by a teacher named Vishnu and another teacher named Sudarshan. Later on, when he was a little grown up, he was under the care of Gaṇḍa-dās Pandit, who taught him grammar of a higher standard. Anyone serious about studying the Sanskrit language should first learn grammar. It is said that simply to finish studying Sanskrit grammar takes at least 12 years. But once one learns the grammatical rules and regulations very nicely, all of the scriptures or subject matters in Sanskrit are extremely easy to understand. For Sanskrit, grammar is the gateway to education. Verse number 6. Alpa kale haila Panji tikate pravina chirakalera paduya jinehaya navina. He soon became so expert in commenting on the Panjitika that he could win victory over all other students, although he was a neophyte. Purport Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says there was a commentary on grammar named Panjitika that was later explained very lucidly by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse number 7. Paugaṇḍa-līlā Prabhur Das Vrindavan Chaitanya Mangale Kaila Vistari Varnan. In his book Chaitanya Mangal, which later became Chaitanya Bhagavat, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has very elaborately described the Lord's pastimes of study. Purport: the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi Khanda, chapter 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 are a good reference for the studious pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse number 8. Ekadina matara pade kariya pranam. Matara pade kariya pranam. Prabhu kahe mata more deha ekadan. One day Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell down at the feet of his mother and requested her to give him one thing in charity. Verse number 9. Mata bale Tai diba ya tumi magibe. Prabhu kahe ekadashite annana khaibe. His mother replied, "My dear son, I will give you whatever you ask." Then the Lord said, "My dear mother, please do not eat grains on the Ekadashi day." Purport: from the very beginning of his childhood, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced the system of observing a fast on Ekadashi day. In the Bhakti Sandarbha by Srila Jeev Goswami, there's a quotation from the Skanda Puran admonishing that a person who eats grains on Ekadashi becomes a murderer of his mother, father, brother and spiritual master, and even if he is elevated to Vaikuntha planet, he falls down. On Ekadashi day, everything is cooked for Vishnu, including regular grains and dal, but it is enjoined that a Vaishnav should not even take Vishnu Prasadam on Ekadashi. It is said that a Vaishnav does not accept anything eatable that is not offered to Lord Vishnu, but on Ekadashi, a Vaishnav should not touch even Mahaprasadam offered to Vishnu, although such prasadam may be kept for being eaten the next day. It is strictly forbidden for one to accept any kind of grain on Ekadashi, even if it is offered to Lord Vishnu. Verse 10. Shachi kahe na khaiba bhal I kahila say haitek ekadashi karite lagila. Mother Shachi said, "You have spoken very nicely. I shall not eat grains on Ekadashi." From that day, she began to observe fasting on Ekadashi. Purport: it is a prejudice among smart Brahmins that a widow must observe fasting on Ekadashi, but a woman who is sadhava, who has her husband, should not. It appears that before Lord Chaitanya's request, Shachi Mata, being a sadhava, was not observing Ekadashi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, introduced the system that a woman, even if not a widow, must observe the Ekadashi day and must not touch any kind of grains, even those offered to the deity of Vishnu. Verse 11. Tabe Vishra Vishwarupera dekhiya yovana kanya chahi vivaha dite kari lena mana. Then after seeing that Vishwarup was a grown-up youth, Jagannath Mishra wanted to find a girl and arrange a marriage ceremony for him. Verse 12. Vishwarup shuni ghar chhadi palaila sanyas kariya tirth karibare gela. Hearing of this, Vishwarup immediately left home and went away to accept sannyas and travel from one place of pilgrimage to another. Verse 13. Shuni Shachi Mishwera Dukhi Haila Mana Tave Prabhu Mata Pitara Kaila Ashwasana. When Shachi Mata and Jagannath Mishra heard of the departure of their eldest son Vishwarup, they were very unhappy, but Lord Chaitanya tried to console them. Verse 14. Bhala Haila Vishwarup Sanyasa Karila Pitra Kula Matra Kula Dui Udharila. My dear mother and father, the Lord said, it is very good that Vishwarup has accepted the sannyas order, for thus he has delivered both his father's family and his mother's family. Purport: it is sometimes said that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disapproved the acceptance of sannyas order in this Kali Yuga because of, in the Shastra it is said, Ashwamedham Gavalambham Sannyasam Pala Paitrikam Devarena Rina Suto Patim Kalau Pancha Vivarchayet. In this age of Kali, 5 acts are forbidden: the offering of a horse in sacrifice, the offering of cows in sacrifice, the acceptance of the order of sannyas, the offering of oblations of flesh to the forefathers, and a man begetting children in his brother's wife. Brahma Vyavarta Puran Krishna Janmakhanda 185.180. Nevertheless, we see that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself accepted sannyas and approved the sannyas of his elder brother Vishwarup. It is clearly said that Bhala Haila Vishwarupa sannyas karila Pitra Kula Matra Kula Dui Udharela. Therefore, should it be thought that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made statements that are contradictory? No, actually he did not. It is recommended that one accept sannyas to dedicate his life for the service of the Lord, and everyone must take the kind of sannyas, for by accepting such sannyas one renders the best service to both his paternal and maternal families. But one should not accept the sannyas order of the Mayavad school, which has practically no meaning. We find that many Mayavad sannyasis simply loitering the streets, thinking themselves Raman or Narayan, and spending all day and night begging so that they can fill their hungry bellies. Mayavadi sannyasis have become so degraded that there is a section of them who eat everything just like hogs and dogs. It is such degraded sannyas that is prohibited in this age. Actually, Sri Shankaracharya's principles for the acceptance of sannyas were very strict, but later the so-called Mayavadi sannyasis became degraded because of their false philosophy, which propounds that by accepting sannyas one becomes Narayan. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected that kind of sannyas. But the acceptance of sannyas is one of the items of the Varnashram Dharma. How then can it be rejected? Verse number 15. Amita Kariba Toma Dunhara Seva Shuniya Santushta Haila Pita Matara Mana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu assured his parents that he would serve them and thus the minds of his father and mother were satisfied. Verse 16. Ekadina Naivedya Tambula Khaya Bhumite Padila Prabhu Achetana Hana. One day Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ate betel nuts offered in the day to the deity, but they acted as intoxicant and he fell down on the ground unconscious. Purport: betel nuts are intoxicant and therefore the regulative principles prohibit eating them. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes of fainting after eating the betel nuts is a solid instruction to all of us that one should not touch betel nuts, even those offered to Vishnu, just as one should not touch grains on Ekadashi. Of course, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's fainting had a particular purpose. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can do whatever he likes and eat whatever he wants, but we should not imitate his pastimes. Verse 17. Aste vyaste pita mata mukhe dila pani susta hana kahe Prabhu apurva kahini. After his mother and father sprinkled water on his mouth with great haste, the Lord revived and said something wonderfully they had never heard before. Verse 18. Eta haite Vishwarup mor lana gela sannyas karha tumi amare kaila. The Lord said, Vishwarup took me away from here and he requested me to accept the sannyas order. Verse number 19. Ami kahi amara anath pita mata ami balak sannyasera kiba jani katha. He replied to Vishwarupa, I have my helpless father and mother, and also I am but a child. What do I know about the sannyas order of life? Verse 20. Grihastha Haya Kariba Pita Matara Sevana Ihate Itushta Habena Lakshmi Narayana. Later I shall become a householder and thus serve my parents. This action will very much satisfy Lord Narayan and his wife, the goddess of fortune. Verse number 21. Tabe Vishwarupa Ihan Pathaila More Mata ke Kahiyo Koti Koti Namaskare. Then Vishwarup returned me home and requested to offer thousands and thousands of obeisances unto my mother, Shachi Devi. Verse 22. E mata nana lila kare gorahari ki karane lila iha bujite na pari. In this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed various pastimes, but why did he do so? I cannot understand. Purport: the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees who come to this world are executing a mission, and therefore sometimes they act in a way that is very difficult to understand. It is said, therefore, Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vijineha na Bujhaya, even if one is very learned and intelligent scholar, he cannot understand the activities of a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava accepts anything favorable for executing his mission, but foolish persons, not knowing the purpose of such exalted Vaishnavas, indulge in criticizing them. That is forbidden, since no one can understand what a Vaishnava does for the purpose of executing his mission. To criticize such a Vaishnava is the offense called sadhu ninda. Verse 23. Keta dina rahi mishra gela paraloka mata putra dunhara badila riddhi shoka. After some days, Jagannath Mishra passed away from this world to the transcendental world, and both mother and son were very much aggrieved in their hearts. Verse 24. Bandhu bandhava asi dunha prabodhila pitri kriya vidhi mate ishwar karila. Friends and relatives came there to pacify Lord Chaitanya and his mother. Then Lord Chaitanya, even though he was the Supreme Personality of God, had executed the rituals for his dead father according to the Vedic system. Verse number 25. Keta dine Prabhu chitte karila chintana grihastha ha ilama ebe chahi griha dharma. After some days, the Lord thought, I did not take sannyas, and since I am remaining at home, it is my duty to act as a grihastha. Verse 26. Grihani vina griha dharma na haya shobhana eta chinti vivaha karite haila mana. Without a wife, Lord Chaitanya considered there is no meaning to a household life. Thus the Lord decided to marry. Verse 27. Na graham griham iti ahur grihini graham uchyate taya hi sahitah sarvan purusharthan samashnute. Merely a house is not a home, for it's a wife who gives a home its meaning. If one lives and fulfill all the interests of human life. Dina Prabhu Padiya Asite Vallabhacharyera Kanya Dekhe Ganga Pathe. One day, when the Lord was coming back from school, he accidentally saw the daughter of Vallabhacharya on the way to the Ganges. Okay. I'm having some trouble loading up here of my verses. So, okay, we will continue reading next time from verse 29 onwards. Thank you for joining. Hare Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.